Welcome back to part 2 of our 7 ways to get to the net. If you guys saw the first video, we covered the traditional approach, which is just getting from the baseline, taking your short ball, and then moving from your short ball into the box. Now, if you didn't see that one, you need to go back and watch that because we talked about specific ways on how to cover the net and where you should position your body so that passing shots are a lot more difficult to get past you, and you basically play the numbers game on being in the right position as often as you can. So if you didn't see that, definitely go look at that because I'm going to be referencing those things in this video. But today we're going to cover 2. We're going to cover ones that you may have heard of, which would be like the serve and volley. And we're also going to be covering one called no transition or the skip transition. That one you've seen but probably didn't look at it as an actual way to get to the net. So without talking anymore, let's get right into the serve and volley. Okay, so I'm at the baseline about to take a couple of serves, and I don't know if you can see her from here, but way out in the back, down yonder, we have Emily helping me with this video as our returner. Obviously, if I'm talking about returns, we're doing serving and volleying. Now, if you guys remember in the first video, I said whenever you transition to the net, you have to focus on being intentional. You do not go to the net without a purpose or a plan, or at least knowing how you're planning on getting there. The reason that is because it all comes back into being able to cover the geometry of the court based on not getting past or giving yourself the best chance to cover passing shots. So even in this exercise where I'm not actually hitting a short ball, I'm hitting a serve, the intention comes into knowing where you want the serve to go every time. You never just serve into the box and start charging forward. So we'll cover where to go based off of where you're serving in a moment, but I want to start by laying the groundwork of you must know where you want the ball to go so that you can move appropriately and not waste steps getting to the net and then have to undo those steps by going in a different direction. So Emily's going to be down there returning serve, and we're just going to be looking at the quality of the way that she's returning. And I'm not going to be hitting booming 130 mile an hour serves. This is all made to be relative to what most people are able to do. So let's get right into the serving part. And I'm going to put the camera on her, and we're going to look at how her returns come back. Okay, that was perfect. As you can see, we're not dealing with somebody that doesn't know how to hit good returns. So we're going to be working this out very realistically. I have to get to the net the right way, otherwise that ball is 100% going to get past me. So first thing we're going to talk about is, where do you want to serve? There's 2 ways to look at this. Do you want to use the serve that you're best at, or do you want to use the serve that the person struggles with the most? And those can sometimes be the same thing and sometimes be opposite. Once you've identified what serve you want to use, then we look at the geometry of the court. Like I referenced in the first video, we want to basically follow where the ball is. So if I'm serving out wide, let's say I'm standing on the deuce side. If I serve out wide on the deuce side, I want to move to the net, covering more on the deuce side of the court. And if I'm serving down the tee, I want to move more towards the center of the court and cut off the angles to go around me. So now I'm actually going to move to the net, and I'm going to do this in a very slow fashion. Emily's actually going to return the ball pretty slow. Purpose being, just want to illustrate how the movement patterns go, and then we'll do it full speed. I'm going out wide. It's a good start. Let's go out wide again. Come on! Too much pressure. Let's do one more. One more good one. This time, I'm not telling her, I'm going to go down the tee. Let's see if I change anything. Solid. All right, so like you guys can see, I served to different locations, and my body movement always shifted a little bit in one way or the other. Now, if I was to do this fast, the only thing that changes is I am actually cutting my own time down. Now, Emily was able to take pretty decent swings at the return because my ball was slow, but I also was able to get closer because my serve was slow. The faster you serve, you take time away from two people. You take time away from them, obviously, because your ball's getting to them faster, but you take time away from yourself because the faster your ball gets to them, obviously the faster it would then come to you. So on the serve and volley piece, you need to base your serve and your serve location on what you're comfortable doing. If you're a person that has mobility issues, it doesn't make sense to try to bust out an ace and serve and volley because chances are you're going to struggle to get up close enough to cover the court. If you remember in the first video, I talked about covering in as close as possible is super important because you give yourself the ability to close down the angle so the ball can't get around you. Now, if I was to hang back near the service line, I'd end up stretching my arms out a lot further to give myself a chance. Now, this is super important. That doesn't mean you can't serve and volley. That just means you have to be good at anticipating the quality of what the return is going to be. So I'm actually going to hit a weaker serve now, and I'll probably end up taking what we call the transition volley on the way to the net. Kind of like what we did in the first video with the short ball, but I'm just going to take a half volley or a ball out of the air near the service line and then continue to get to the net. All right, so as I said, I'm going to slow this one down and I'm going to end up just taking a third shot instead of doing it in two shots. So I hit that serve and I only make it this far. My first ball goes and then I get the rest of the way, hopefully covering the next one. It works either way, but just understand that you have to choose it based on your own physical capabilities. So with that being said, now let's talk, where do you want to volley? Okay, so I'm at the net, and again, you can see Emily way downwind over there. She has been my replacement of George the ball machine. Let's say that I've hit my serve out wide. Emily, can you step out to the doubles line? Now, you've got two choices to make depending on the quality of your serve and how quickly you get close. If I was to hit my serve out wide, Emily, just shadow a forehand real quick. By the time she does that, I should be basically where this camera is located, which gives me the chance to kind of close in and take my next ball. By the time I touch my ball, I've already made my decision on, am I going to the open court? Am I going the same spot she is? Or am I shortening the ball into these two areas here? I always believe that you should try to find the farthest distance and make that the standard, and then change your shots to make people stay guessing. So essentially, Emily, I'm going to try and hit a winner to the open court. Just shadow a forehand and then run that way. Ready? Go. And then I try to hit my volley to that spot. Awesome, that's perfect. If I make that the thing that I do often, so I just serve and then I volley to the open court. I serve and I volley to the open court. This is what you end up with as a result. Ready? I'm going to do that same thing one more time. Just shadow that forehand and then try to get this next volley. Go. Perfect. So because she already thinks that it's going that way over and over again, let's say I've done that 6 or 7 or 8 times, that makes going back behind them a lot easier because she starts to commit early in anticipation of going the other way. But as I said before, always go with the most standard issue, gonna work most of the time option, and then do those as a changeup. Volleying behind people only works if they've committed to the movement. But that's gonna pretty much sum up your serving and volleying portion of it. Only thing I'll add is when you find yourself in the transition area and not at the net, you want to make sure that you're not getting yourself in trouble. You don't have to be super aggressive on the way, you just have to make sure they can't be super aggressive. So if you're the type of person that's taking these in 3 shots, then your second shot, which is on or near the service line, probably should be to the open court, because at least then that person is still under pressure and you have a chance to get closer. It wouldn't make sense to hit your volley from the service line and try to go back behind them because there's too much time for them to change direction. And then you end up with a lot of passing shots. Take everything that I said for the past few minutes and apply that to the same geometry of wherever you volley, just moving to the direction that you volleyed. And that sums up serving and volleying. Let's get right into the next one, which is no transition. Okay, so on to number 3, no transition or the skip transition. You will remember that in the first video I said that there are some that are more used than others. No transition is actually the most used style of getting to the net outside of your traditional short ball. Now, no transition is basically short for taking out this middle shot. You play from the baseline, then you play from the net. Quite similar to serving and volleying, actually, except for you're doing it off of a ground stroke. Now, the trick is, how do you get from there to there without hitting the shot in the middle? And that comes back down to what I said in the first part of this video. You have to be super, super intentional. You have to know what's coming off of your racket and then be able to anticipate what's most likely to come off of the racket down there. If you're the type of person that just rallies neutral, you're probably going to have trouble with the no transition one, because you need to be able to turn the pace up and turn the pressure up at a moment's notice to get short, easy replies. But essentially what we're going to do is I'm going to rally with Emily, and my goal is going to be to just show you guys at what point it would be a good time to make that move to the net by adding a little bit more pressure. So let's get that started. I'm just going to cut to the back with me and Emily rallying, and I'll just pause or freeze the video every time you see Emily under enough pressure that I could potentially move to the net. Good. It's all right. Here we go. So if you notice, as soon as I hit that shot, before Emily even went to swing at it, I was already by the blue line. So those are the examples of anticipating the pressure versus waiting to see what happens. And again, it's a winner, but I'm making that move just in case she hits that ball back. And as of right now, I'm not even worried about necessarily getting the ball to come back to me, because obviously the goal was to put that pressure through the court. But if she had made it, I'm already halfway there, and my next play is out of the air. Good ball. And that's what it looks like when you do the whole move together. I didn't wait to see if she was going to give me a short ball. And by not waiting to see what it's going to be, I actually skipped the bounce, and I don't need to readjust and set my feet up and take it. I'm already on my way in, and I just need to be able to find the ball and meet it. Let's see if we can do one more perfect one. But the cool part about this one is you don't have to change anything from the first video where we talked about how to cover. It's just see where the ball's going after you hit it and cover that angle. The only challenge is making sure you move early enough that you don't leave the passing shots open. Remember, the closer you get, the easier it is to cover that shot. Great ball. That's okay. That's okay. And again, I just went right behind her, and I was already moving in. I was lucky enough to get the error, but if I didn't get the error, I would have gotten probably an easy enough ball to handle as a result. And done. All right, so that wraps up part 2. We covered serving and volleying and no transition. Remember, this video series is not meant to tell you which one to do. It's just to introduce you to the fact that there are more options than you may have known, and also start to narrow down which one fits more into your game. So as I said in the intro video, if you're a big server or you're a super accurate server and you get a lot of unforced errors, serve and volley might be right in your wheelhouse. If you're a person who likes to change pace and go from neutral to offense, as you learned today, there's no transition. And then you have our traditional that we learned on day 1, which is you play the point and then the ball lands in front of you. So we have 4 more to cover, so make sure you guys stay tuned for the next video where we're going to try to get through at least 2 more, and then hopefully you guys start to build these into your game. But as of right now, do me a favor, leave in the comment section below, of the 3 that we've covered so far, which one do you think you could easily or quickly implement into your game? And then I want you guys to also let me know if you think you know of any of the other ones that we might be covering. But that's going to wrap up this video. And as always, stay out there working, and we'll see you guys in the next one.